This Faith Thing, episode 166. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is trusting in God with all your heart. Faith is knowing that all things are possible with God, that nothing is too difficult for God to do. This faith thing can be easy when we have God on our side. Faith is the word of God. Welcome back for another episode. Picking out a name for a child should be a very joyous and fun process for a parent. It is the time when you are creating a new identity for that child, how you want the child to be received in society, and what you want that child's name and identity to look like. That is why you, as a parent, it does matter the name that you pick out for your child. Picking out very random names doesn't really do much for you or for that child. It doesn't help the progression of that child, and neither does it help the progression of your family. The only thing that it may do for you is that it may look like a very cute name, a name that you just like because of the way it may sound. It does not assist you in furthering your life or your destiny, and neither does it do that for the child. The reason why it's so important to pick out a proper name is because names are intended to identify a child and signify where the child should end up in life and what you want the blessings over that child should be. It should never be a situation where you just put letters together just because you like the way it looks, or you see something on the street or something on television or in a magazine and you decide to give that name to your child, a name that has no meaning. Naming a child is very important, friends, and the meaning behind any child's name is very crucial to that child. It will follow him or her forever, wherever they go in this life, and it can either open doors for them or close the doors for them. In Genesis 17, verse 5, we read when God speaks to Abram and changes his name to Abraham, the father of many nations. God has already told him in prior chapters. If you read and study the Bible properly, you will see that God has already told Abram that he will multiply him and make him a great nation and that kings will come out of him. But the name he was bearing, friends, did not befit what God wanted to do in his life. It did not match the intentions of God for his life. So let's even take a look at it. Genesis 17 verse 5. It says, "Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee, and I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God." Friends, we read here where God is speaking to Abram, telling him that your name will no longer be Abram, but Abraham, because I have made you. It says it in verse 5, I have already made you a father of many nations. It does not say that you will become. It says, I have already made you. But the name that he was bearing, the name that God saw that this man is bearing, is not befitting for what I want to do for him. So it has to come to manifestation, and his name needs to match what I'm going to do in his life. Friends, when you pick a name that you want to give to your child, pick a name of what you want your child to become in this life. Whatever you speak over that child's life via their name, let it reflect the goodness of God, the mercy of God over that child's life, and where you believe God will take this child, where you want this child to go in your family. God did not just change the name of Abram, he also changed the name of his wife as well. The both of them had to bear names that would be befitting to what God was about to do in their life, even though, friends, it didn't look like it was going to happen because they had waited and waited, but God knows what he's going to do. God has a plan for this child, for these children, Abram and Sarai, before it became Sarah, because he made her to be a mother of nations. God intended for what he was going to do in both of their lives to also reflect in the names that they carry. It's very important, friends. There is definitely power behind your name. In Genesis 32:28, we read here of another story. We read the story of Jacob. At this point, Jacob had duped his brother. Let me give you a backstory. He had already duped his brother Esau. He already tricked him. And now he was running for his life. And there came to a time where Jacob was alone, and he was now wrestling with a man all night. This is from Genesis 32, verse 24. Jacob was fighting for his life to the point where his thigh popped out of the hip socket. He fought and fought and fought and fought, wrestled for his life, friends. And in verse 26, there was an exchange between this man and Jacob. The man said, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." And Jacob replied, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." Then he was asked of his name, which he of course replied, Jacob. Then in verse 28 to the end, it says, "And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with man, thou hast prevailed." And Jacob asked him and said, "Tell me, I pray thee, thy name." And he said, "Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name?" And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh until this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh and the sinew that shrank. Jacob, friends, Jacob wrestled with God. And when he was wrestling, he was bruised. His hip popped out. He had a severe pain, but he had to fight for his life. He had to fight for what he wanted. And he was telling the man, because the man said, "Get off of me. Morning time has come." They had already been fighting all night. And the man was telling Jacob, "Get off of me." And Jacob said, "I'm not letting you go until you bless me. I'm not going to let you go until you bless me." You see, now Jacob has displayed a characteristic that God wanted him to display. He fought for what he needed in his life. He persevered against this man upon his life. And now at the end of it, you can see the communication going on between Jacob and God. And God tells him that your name will no longer be Jacob. It is now going to be Israel. Friends, there is power in your name. There is power in a name. The name we bear should give us an identity. It should bring us a good identity. When someone asks us of your name, it should not be confusing. It should not be misleading. It should not be a rubbish name. It needs to have a meaning behind it. Not one that does not speak well of you. Not one that does not take you or your family anywhere. Our family names have to have a meaning your last name and your surname. This is why you see in many countries, even within the depths of these countries, they have special naming ceremonies for a child, because it is the presentation of this new identity into the society. The child is now bearing a new identity, being introduced into that society. And every society, I am sure, desires for great things to happen. Nobody wants to be in misery. Nobody wants to be in pain. Everybody wants to have happiness. Everyone wants to have joy. They want to have peace. Let the names that we pick for our children, let them reflect those things, friends. We have to be very prayerful when choosing a name we want for our children to bear. We cannot decide on a whim that is the child's name. It needs to be done prayerfully, asking God, what is it that you want me to name this child, Father God, that will bring new meaning, new life into the society that the child is being born into? The name has to be a beautiful name. There's so many beautiful names out there that have meaning. Good meanings that we can choose from, friends. And peradventure, your name has a foul meaning, because some parents pick names and they are unaware of the meaning of the name of the child. And if when you get older, you realize that your name is not befitting of you, it doesn't speak well for you, for some reason it is a stigmatizing name that does not carry you far, people are stopping you, halting you because of your name, then you need to change your name legally. All of your documents need to be changed, because these names have the ability to speak into our life, and it also has the ability to speak into our generation, friends. Your name, one person's name, has the ability to speak into generations, especially the last name, the surname. So you want to be careful when you're picking a name, because these names, they carry power. They can take you far. They can take you far, friends. It can change your life. It can change your generation. It can change your whole world, your whole community, just because of your name, just because of the meaning of your name. It is that serious, friends. There is definitely power in your name. There's definitely power in your name. So when you pick a name for your children, friends, pick names that are befitting for that child. Pick names that are befitting for your family. Pick names that will carry your children far, even when you are not there. Names that will carry your generations far along in this life, friends. Friends, I hope that this message has blessed you today. Go in peace, and I will speak with you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in to This Faith Thing with Adeola. Please head on over to the website at thisfaiththing.com to find the show notes and everything mentioned inside of this podcast. I pray that you have been blessed. Go in peace, and I will see you in the next episode. God bless you.